share, and like this video. Thank you.
The era of competition is dead. And I mean this in the harshest way possible, but as I have studied competing ever since I was a kid, I've been into many competitions, whether it be in music, dance, sports, now esports. I believe fully that the competition era is dead. And the only way we can save the competition era, the competitive era, i.e., the people that you look up to in the 90s, is through motivation. I will be your motivation because today is where I'm going to teach you how to become a competitor. We all know the greats before us. We all know about their shining achievements. If you're a sports fan, if you're a musician, if you're a dancer, all the things that I listed before, or even things in business, you have to know that in order to change something, you must be said change. And in this era specifically, where I'm living, nobody does that. I believe through societal means that we have always done what was best for us, and that was it. And we expected everybody else to do their part. But in order to become a leader, you must take a path that nobody else has. And the only way you can do that is through means that nobody else will. I'm a Valorant player. I've been a Valorant player for the past year, probably year and a half. I wouldn't say I officially started playing Valorant professionally at like a level of study until last year. But until then, I was an Overwatch player for 2, 3 years. I was super late in Overwatch one, so to say that I was going to make it to the Overwatch League is, in hindsight, stupid. But it's whatever. Following back, in the games that I have played over the past year playing Valorant, to tell you the truth, I sucked for like the first year. Like I never played a search and destroy, and in fact, Overwatch was my first shooter. I actually didn't start competing in video games until fighting games back in 2016. To tell you all the truth, I was hot garbage in Valorant for like a good year. When I first placed in the game in open beta, I was in bronze. Before I left my office, I actually became a Diamond 1 player. So in the past year and a half, it took me from bronze all the way up to diamond. And all it took me was humility and observation. The humility is I knew for a fact that in order for me to become a winner, I must lose, and I must lose terribly. I took a lot of terrible losses in the course of my time. I took so many stupid losses that, looking back now, I am so surprised that they even got out with a win because they're still nobodies at the end of the day. They're probably still in the same rank I left them in. An observation. The first thing that I observed is I literally have, in terms of experience, none compared to the top players that are even on VCT, compared to anybody that is even doing what I'm doing right now. To say the most, those are the two things that carried me. But those aren't the things that are going to make you a great competitor. It's one of the facets of becoming a great competitor. But one of the things that you really need to become a great competitor and to revive the era of competitors as they are right now is through a means I like to call the Mamba method. If anybody knows me, I love Kobe to death, but he is not somebody I look up to my entire life. I actually looked up to him back in 2018 when I was just right out the door of leaving fighting games forever. I was a fighting game player in the DMV. I went to a lot of locals, I went to a lot of tournaments, but I always had the same results, 0-2 for 3 years. Yeah, 2016 to like 2019 was when I stopped playing. And 2018 was my breaking point because I've lost so terribly for 2 years. And it didn't matter how much time I trained, it didn't matter who skill wise I was going up against, whether they be a pro or a scrub, I always went 0-2. I don't think I actually had my first win in a fighting game until the time I met my current friend, who is, well, I call him a friend, but he's more so my mentor. But when I first met my mentor, that was when I popped off the most. Literally, I went from, this was the greatest bracket run I ever ran into. I was literally from pools all the way up to outside top 8. And I ended up losing to two of the people that I ended, ironically speaking, those are two of the people that I recruited. 2018 came around and I was in the lab once again. Every time I lose, I always go to training mode. I always go to training mode. I think about what I did wrong. I always practice the combos that I mess up. If I mess up a combo, I did that 200 times before bed each time. But it also left me with a sense of alienation, if I must say, because I was the only person in my community that actually did that. Well, right next to the current, well, I would say he's like currently the best in DMV, but he's a legend named Ludovic. And right next to Lud, there was like nobody else who even did remotely what I did. They could say they did, but in my case, I could tell who's a killer and I could tell who isn't at all. I can tell who has been here and who hasn't. And so one night I just got recommended a video. It was like a motivational video and piqued my interest, and that's how I met Kobe. He taught me what it takes to be a competitor, all the lonely nights that he has been. And this is another example that I'm going to bring to you, aside from humility, observation, and training, is isolation. In order for you to become a competitor, you have to isolate yourself. If you're not going to isolate yourself, there is no way you can become that 1%, that top 0.1%, the people that will look back on your life and inspire and be inspired by your action. Being with what you're doing just by itself, or even going as far as to just be with nothing, be in a room that is quiet. It doesn't have to be dead quiet. It just needs to be quiet, away from distraction quiet. You need to be able to isolate yourself from all the distractions. That means turning off your phone, turning off the TV. I may have it running right now, but because of the fact that I've been in this room ever since last month, just straight, I don't know if I could take it. I really don't know if I could take it. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna keep the TV on. Meditation. You need to be able to be by yourself. And with being a competitor, it will also teach you how to be a better clutcher. Because a lot of people, in moments where it requires you to think, where it requires you to be more of yourself, some people don't know how to do that. And that's the main problem I have with Valorant players. There's like a good percentage that are clutch. And it's not even you can only find it at like the high levels, that you can find people who can clutch consistently. And that's how you get up to wherever you are in Valorant, to the big leagues, is to clutch. Your own individual performance really doesn't matter until it is by yourself. Until then, you can make as many kills as you want. If you're not in the clutch, your kills don't count. So yeah, the age of competition for me is over because of those things. If you are a competitor, you have to essentially learn how to be your biggest rival and to also be your biggest cheerleader. And that's the last thing that I'm going to cover, because to be a competitor isn't really all that much. It's just humility, observation, training, isolation, and being your own person, your own team. You can have your own team, but if you're not going to be able to be your biggest critic and your biggest cheerleader, there's no way you can make it to anywhere that these people are making right now. Because if you pay attention to your favorite streamer, they're doing the same things that I'm going over right now. And they don't talk about this because of the fact that they are a streamer or they're a competitor. Half of the people who compete, they don't even know what they did to get over there. To tell you the truth, they don't even know how they even got there in the first place. They've been playing the same game ever since, what is it? Some of these people they've been playing CS:GO ever since they were kids. Don't even know. They play Valorant because it's like CS. They're going off of knowledge that they have drilled into themselves ever since they were kids. So these are the tips that I have for you. I really hope that this video helps, because in the mental aspect, not a lot of people talk about this. So I'm talking about it for you, so then you have something to go off of instead of all these videos that have like the same thing go over and over again. Those people are talking about what helped them, And they really don't know about what I'm giving you to help you in order to get to a very, very big place later on in life. I hope this helps. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that other stuff. And you have a good one. I'll see you later.